So since you clicked on this video, you obviously want better FPS, but there's two things that you have to know. The first thing is I have a lot of tips for the console players that also pertain to PC, so those tips will be in the beginning of the video. And the second thing is that the PC only tips are going to be the second half of the video. And I just want to let you know I'm not going to have you download some sketchy FPS pack or do any crazy tweaks to your PC. I'm going to go step by step and explain everything that I do and what exactly it does to your system. So now that you know that, let's not waste any time and let's hop right into the PC and console tips. All right, guys, so we're going to jump right into our settings. So when you come to the video tab for you console players, you will have a couple of settings on here, but one of the main ones you have to turn off is motion blur. Motion blur gives you a lot of input delay, and that's one of the main settings that you need to have off on console. And for the rest of my PC, guys, make sure you're full screen 1920 by 1080. Make sure you have VSync off. And for the frame rate limiter, don't worry about this. We're going to talk about this later during the PC only tips. Then rendering mode, of course, always be on performance mode. Now, if you're on a lower end PC and you want to get a little bit better FPS, you can turn down your 3D resolution. And I honestly don't recommend going any lower than 80 because it does make your game look a lot worse. And whenever you're in arena, you will have a very hard time seeing people from long range. So that's why I recommend keeping it at 100% if you have a pretty decent PC. Also, if you don't have a very good graphics card, you can take your textures and put them on high. This will make your graphics card boost up and work a little bit harder, which in turn will give you a little bit more FPS if you're on a lower end GPU. Then for auto download high resolution textures, you can turn both of these off. Then moving right on to the game tab, come down here, and especially if you're on console, you definitely need to make sure you have your replays off. A lot of people already know this, but if you're new to the game, you definitely won't. So make sure you have all these off. And also another very important one, make sure you come to the energy saving settings and turn both of these off. This will limit the power consumption of your system, which will in turn give you a lot less performance. So make sure you have these both off. Now come to the game UI tab, and you're going to want to scroll all the way down until you see this right here, runtime performance stats. Make sure to turn this off because it does give you a little bit input delay because there's something running in the background for your performance stats at all time. Now for the gyro settings, if you use controller, make sure you have everything off here. You don't want the game in the background searching for compatible controllers for gyro aiming, and it's absolutely useless anyway, so just to be safe, make sure you have it off. Now for all the controller players, come to the controller options, then scroll down to vibration. Make sure you turn this off. I don't know how true it is, but I swear whenever I use vibration, it feels like I have a ton more input delay, so if I were you, just turn it off. Also, if you are a keyboard player as well, make sure you go all the way to the very bottom of the controller options and turn off foot controller. This is kind of the same thing with the gyro settings, where Fortnite will constantly look for a compatible controller in the background, and you don't want your game working any harder than it has to. So now we're going to move on to the audio tab, and of course all of these are just personal preference, but I do want you to come to the sound quality and turn this on low. The only thing that this changes is the pump shotgun sound, and if we put it on high, this is what the pump shotgun sounds here. But if you turn this to low and hit apply, it sounds just like how it did back in the day on console. And this will give you a slight performance boost. Also in the sound settings, come to subtitles and come here and turn everything off or all the way to the left. I'll say it again, you don't want your game working any harder than it needs to. Now, visualize sound effects is a big one. So visualize sound effects is what you can see on your screen from other enemies. So pretty much any of the footsteps that you can see here. Oh my, he almost pieced me up, but he got one pump. And these things are honestly broken and can be extremely useful in game. But anything extra that the game has to process definitely will give you less FPS. If you're trying to get the best performance and you get some good headphones, I would recommend turning it off. But if you want the best competitive edge that you can get in Fortnite, go ahead and keep them on. Now for the controller players, we're going to go to the controller binds. Now there's a couple things that you can do here to reduce input delay on your controller. The first one is to use a generic controller platform. But just know if you do use generic, it does mess with your input curve of your controller. So if you're not as consistent right when you turn it on, just know if you turn it back off, your aim will go back to normal. And the next thing we can do to reduce input delay is to bind switch mode / edit to somewhere on your controller. And you're going to want to replace a bind that you don't ever use on your controller with this, but you're going to want to keep your regular edit bind and your regular switch mode bind. And as you can see, I use a paddle on the back of my controller to edit and use my build mode, but I can also do that with my right D-pad. And this gets rid of a really bad edit delay, especially if you're on console. And there is another way to get rid of edit delay on keyboard and mouse and controller. If you go into the keyboard controls and you bind switch quick bar to anywhere on your keyboard, this pretty much has the same effect as switch mode / edit does on controller. But since I use a controller scroll wheel and a middle mouse button, I do this anyways, just in case if it is giving me a little bit of an edit delay. Also, there are two very important things you need to do if you are playing on console. This kind of goes without saying, but you have to play wired. If you're using a cable that's 6 feet or shorter, that gives you less delay than Bluetooth 4.0 does on the new Xbox or the PS5. So I highly recommend that you play wired. And the second thing that you can do physically to boost your performance is to make sure that your console has enough air. Make sure it's getting enough cooling and that it has enough room to breathe. Don't shove it under your desk on carpet or put it in a media entertainment cabinet or something like that. Just make sure it's out and about and it's getting enough air. But yo guys, it's me, Takeoff, from 2 days in the future. And listen, I have a big announcement. If you follow me on TikTok or you watch my YouTube shorts, you'll probably saw that I just released my 1v1 map. And since we're talking about high FPS and low input delay, I had to wait to post this video. And I made this map with Creative 2.0. So I took out all of the clouds, I removed the water and any landscape to actually get a true zero input delay. And as you can see, I kept it very minimalistic with some amazing features, including slow-mo. And slow-mo is the best way to practice your crosshair placement. I also added an instant build reset, a one pump only mode, and I only added the most popular guns. And I'm already going to change a few from the comments that I saw on my TikTok. And one very important feature that nobody ever talks about is the lighting of the map. As you can see, the builds are white, unlike a tingy green that most 1v1 maps have. All of the really popular 1v1 maps are like that, and they never get the lighting right, so the builds look really clean, especially if you're on console. So that makes this map absolutely perfect for clips. And guys, as you can see, there's matchmaking in this island, so I'm gonna be in here all the time 1v1ing people. So if you want the chance to come play with me and maybe 1v1 me, definitely load up into this map and give it a try. And also make sure to comment any changes or features that you want to see in this map, because I'm actually gonna make them. I'm gonna read it through every single comment in this video, guys. But guys, now we are gonna hop into the PC only tips. But if you are on console and you end up watching through for the rest of the video, go in the comments and let me know down below so I can heart your comment and I'll try to subscribe back to some of you guys. All right, guys, so the first thing I'm gonna want you to do is to go into your Fortnite settings, and I want you to come off of performance mode. The reason why we have to do this is because there's settings down here that we need to make sure we change that you can't change on performance mode, but they still affect your game. So once you're back on DirectX 11, you're gonna come down here and you're gonna scroll down and copy everything that I have here. But the main setting that we need to change is make sure that we have Nvidia Reflex low latency on plus boost. And you can't change this on performance mode, and this is a really big one, so make sure you have this on. But if you have an AMD graphics card, you're not going to be able to change this, so don't worry about it. But from the last Fortnite update, you most likely are going to have to change all of these settings here, so make sure you change them. And then we're going to go back up to performance mode and we're going to apply this. All right, guys, in the next tip, I'm going to show you how to overclock your controller or your keyboard and mouse. So for this, I'm also going to have a link down in the description, and you're going to want to click it and it's going to open up this website here. All you're going to want to do is download this, then run the program. And I already have it downloaded right here, so I'm not going to download it again. But once you have it, you're going to click it, open up the file, and then we're going to go to driver. Then we're going to click setup. Now you're going to see this software open, and we're going to come up here into the top left, and we're going to click all. So now you can see every USB device that's plugged into your computer. Now this is a fair warning. Changing your polling rate on a keyboard or a mouse possibly could damage it depending on what product you're using. I would make sure to do your research on what specific mouse or keyboard that you use before you overclock them or do anything to them. But what I will say for controller, if you use any type of regular Xbox controller or any PS4 or PS5 controller, you're going to be totally fine. And the reason why I overclock my controllers in the first place is because Windows adds an automatic 5 milliseconds of delay into every controller. That's an automatic thing that the Windows operating system does. So we're going to get rid of that delay for our controllers. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to find your controller on this list. And obviously for any Xbox controller, it's just going to be named Xbox One controller. And if you're using a PS4, PS5 controller, they could be named a little bit weird sometimes. So unplug it, plug it back in, and figure out which one your controller is. So once you've done that, you're going to select your controller and you're going to come down here to where it says default, and we're going to pick a polling rate of 1000. Then after that, we're going to click filter on device. That's super important. Then next, we're going to hit install service. Then the number on the third column right here, it says number 4. That should change to a 1 if you've done this correctly. So now we're going to restart, and boom. Just like that, now it's down to a 1 and your controller is all overclocked and good to go. But really quick, for some people, your controller doesn't automatically register in game. So if you open up Fortnite and your controller's not working, unplug it, replug it back in until it works. And also you can restart this software, then unplug it and replug it back in until your controller actually starts working again, and you should be good to go. But if you're having too many problems, your controller still isn't working, or you're just not used to the input delay and you don't want to have your controller overclocked anymore, just open up the file, go to drivers setup, and all we're going to do is all of the steps in reverse. So you're going to uncheck this and we're going to hit default, install, restart, and you should be good to go. All right, guys. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to press Windows and R on our keyboard, and this little window is going to pop up right here. And we're going to type in %10 temp%, just like this. And unfortunately, this is my second time recording this because my file corrupted on the last one. So you're gonna have a ton of files in this folder. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna select the whole entire thing. It's gonna go down for a while and we're gonna select them all and we're gonna press delete. Then you're gonna get this little message here. We're just gonna click do this for all items and skip. And once that's done, that pretty much just gets rid of any local temporary files that your system needed to get a task completed. Then we're gonna go up to our recycle bin. We're gonna right click, we're gonna press empty, and you're going to empty your recycle bin and you're all good to go. Then the next thing, we're going to press Windows and R on our keyboard. Again, we're going to pop open this window. Then we're going to type %local app data %, just like that. Then this folder is going to pop up right here. We're going to scroll down until we find Fortnite game. Then we're going to go to saved, config, Windows client. Then you'll find your game user settings. Then you're going to want to right click on your game user settings, go to properties, then make sure that this read only box is unticked. Now we can open up game user settings and we're going to scroll down where somewhere in the middle here. And here it is right here. It's right next to the resolution. So look out for those, but you'll be able to find it right here. It's the frame rate limiter. And like I said earlier, we're going to manually override our frame rate limiter to get a smoother picture in game and to reduce any type of screen tearing. And what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 3 frames from your monitor's refresh rate, and we're going to set that as our frame rate limiter. So for example, if you have a 144 hertz monitor, we're going to make this 0 right here 141. But if you have a 240 hertz monitor like me, you're going to make this 237. And if you have a 60 hertz monitor, you're going to make this only 59. So I have a 240 hertz monitor, so we're going to leave it at 237. Then all you have to do from here is hit file, then save. Then we can exit out of here. Then we're going to right click again, go to properties, and we're going to check that read only box and hit apply and okay. Then we can exit out of here. We're all good to go. Then the next thing I'm going to have you guys do is press the Windows button on your keyboard, go to settings. Then we're going to come here to the gaming settings. And the first one is the Xbox game bar. And this thing is absolutely atrocious when it comes to FPS and input delay. It takes up a lot of resources from your computer in the background and it's always recording something. So make sure you have this off. And if you use the Xbox game bar to get your clips, don't do that. Just use the GeForce experience right here. If you have an Nvidia graphics card, there's tons of tutorials on how to set it up on YouTube. So I'm not going to show you that today. And also if you have an AMD graphics card, you can right click on your desktop and you can go to the AMD Radeon settings. There's ways to capture clips on the Radeon software as well. It's way better than using this Xbox game bar. So make sure you have this off. Then we're going to come here on the left side. We're going to go to captures and make sure you turn all of this off just in case. We're not using the Xbox game bar anyway, so it's all good. Then we're going to go to game mode. Make sure you have this on. This optimizes your PC for any full screen application that's running. So all the performance will go to any game that you're playing rather than to any background processes that are running in the background. And once you turn that on, we're going to go back to home. Now we're going to go to personalization. Then we're going to click colors and we're going to come to transparency effects and just turn this off. This pretty much just makes your taskbar look a little bit nicer and also some Windows features like whenever you're opening up this here, it does it in a smooth way. It just adds on extra effects that your PC uses. It'll help just a little bit with performance to not make sure anything's running in the background if you're on a lower end PC. Now we're going to go back to home and then we're going to click system and then we're going to go to notifications. Make sure you have all of your notifications off, especially because if you ever get a notification from Windows and you're playing any type of game, it'll boot that game into windowed full screen. It won't keep you full screen if a notification pops up. So make sure you just turn this completely off. Then the next thing we can do in Windows to make your PC run a little bit smoother is go to privacy. Then we're going to scroll down until you see background apps. These are things that are going to be running in the background for absolutely zero reason. Make sure you have all of these off. And if there's a certain software that you want to use while you're playing the game, you can turn this on and then just have that one or maybe those 2 softwares that you want to use while you're gaming. But I honestly recommend you just keep everything off. It's a safer way to make sure that nothing's running on the background. All right, guys, the next thing we're going to do is press the Windows key on our keyboard. We're going to type in disk cleanup, just like this right here. We're going to run this. And what you're going to do is select your C drive, because I know you guys probably have never done this. You're going to clean up your C drive. Okay. Then we're going to press OK. And this window is going to pop up here. And like I said earlier, this is my second time doing this. So obviously I don't have many things to clean up here, but I had 33 gigabytes of just temporary files in cache that needed to be cleaned up off my C drive. So it was pretty bad. So guys, make sure you do this. You're just going to press OK, and that's going to help out a lot. And guys, the next thing we're going to do is press the Windows key on our keyboard. We're going to go to our settings again. Then we're going to type in graphics settings right here. All right, guys. And once you get here, I want you to open up the Epic Games launcher. And once you're here, we're going to go to libraries. Then we're going to click these little 3 dots, and then we're going to go to manage. Then you want to click open file location of your Fortnite game. So as you can see, it's on my C drive right here. And that's how you find which drive Fortnite is installed on. So we can get out of the Epic Games Launcher. We're going to click now on browse. So then we can go to our C drive. Then we're going to go into program files. Then we're going to go ahead and find Epic Games. There she is. Then we're going to find our Fortnite file. Then we're going to click Fortnite game, then binaries and Win64. Then you should see all of these guys in here. And we're going to add the Fortnite client-Win64-shipping. This one here, not any of these three down here, just the very top one. Then once that's added, we're going to go ahead and click options. And instead of having our graphics preference on let Windows decide, we're going to click high performance. And then we're going to click save. And now we should be good to go to make sure that Fortnite is getting all of the performance that we possibly can get it. So guys, now all you have to do is just restart your system and you guys should have a much smoother game. And I want to know who the real ones are and who actually watches my full video. So go in the comments and let me know if this actually did help your performance. And tell me how your game feels after all these optimizations. And also guys, if you want to know my top 5 tips on how to get better at Fortnite, click this video. It's super useful. A lot of people liked it. So go ahead and click it and I will see you in there. Thanks again for watching to the end. Much love, yo. Peace.